Thank you, Luca, and thank you also the audience, and thank you, Jana, for introducing already our website. I'm very happy, and I think also now with the approach, after I've seen several presentations until now, I think it's a very nice add-on in a systemic view, but also in a practical forum. So I will try to combine those two things. So yeah. Together with the Ministry of Public Administration and the Ministry of Environment, Climate and Energy, we have the so-called Deep Demonstration project in Slovenia. And I will try to highlight a few elements of that today, because else if I would do the whole shabam, would be here for another hour. So I will try to really focus on what's the aim. So basically, in general, Slovenia has basically been saying we want to be a circular regenerative country, yeah, as fast as possible. And as with all the circular and sustainable solutions what have been developed over the last few years in Europe, things did not get from the ground. Even the revision report was published not so long ago, even showed that even with all the effort and with all the money and with all the other resources we have put in a circular regenerative economy, we even went backwards. So, and one of the reasons for that is that there is no systemic approach to really make this stuff happening. We all know it's coming because natural resources are finite. But now what? So how to change such a system? Yeah, and it's you cannot just jump from step 1 to step 18. Yeah, you really need to slowly change step by step, walk the ladder upwards to change the system, so that the whole ecosystem, not only locally, not only on national level, but also regionally and in a European context, yeah, will slowly start to transition to, let's say, a better future. And we are definitely everywhere still at the first few steps. But sometimes already some nice light bulbs pop up and come to certain higher elements already, how to basically in the end change the paradigm. So how from 𝐂𝐤𝐵 perspective we approach this, we not only that we focus on, let's say, projects and best practices and scaling up and creating, I don't know, even more startups or even more research projects. We also go deeper with our methodology in understanding why certain events are happening, why certain things are happening. And you can use this on a personal level. I'll give you one example. A few weeks ago, I got some, let's say, physical problems, and they didn't go away. So the events what just happened, I got sick, okay, and then okay, what happened basically? What was one layer lower? Yeah, I mean my immune system dropped. Okay, good, but why? Why did this immune system drop? Yeah, maybe I worked too much, didn't get so much sleep, I didn't pay attention to my food intake. Uh, and maybe some other unhealthy choices that I made due to the, let's say, environment where I was acting at that moment. Why did this happen? Why didn't I have the safe guards in my own system? Why was my mental model not prepared for this kind of environment? And then you get to ask yourself the question, hey, how is this possible? Why do we live in a system that requires this from us, that in the end we end up with a, let's say, a cold or a flu or whatsoever? So this iceberg model, let's say, analyzes, is very helpful in understanding why a society or why a system is not moving in the right speed towards, let's say, a transition to a more sustainable or circular future. So this is something in a nutshell what we try to, let's say, achieve in Slovenia as one of our demo projects. And it's just one little item of it, and I will try to show a little bit more. But first, we speak a lot about sustainability, circularity, and sometimes the things are mixed. Sometimes it's like, yeah, circularity is sustainable, sustainable is circularity, but it's not. So one is making sure that we take care of the future generations. Circularity is basically one way to achieve it. It's one tool that will be able to help us getting there. As I said, resources, even bio-based resources, we need to take in consideration. So it's also in the famous butterfly diagram, it's shown. So on the left side, we have the bio-based elements. On the right side, we have more the technical part. So we need to understand the system before we are even able to manage it, make improvements, and see where we can basically aim for a better sustainable future. So what kind of approaches? Now there are 114 definitions on what is the circular economy. So, but in the end, it is as long as possible to keep the resources in the loop without basically being thrown away. So we don't speak about recycling. We really make sure that we basically do not speak about waste. Waste in a circular economy is something that is somehow not existing, although in the end we can never get rid of it. So what's the most important of the circular economy is the first three levels. So refuse, rethink, and reduce. So first of all, let's stop doing things that do not create any, let's say, added value in our lives or for the environment or for the society as such. So really say, okay, do we need a plastic bag? No, we don't need a plastic bag. Just don't have a plastic bag. Yeah, as a small example. Rethink. So what can we do differently with the resources that we have? And maybe this have different purposes, etc., and reduce. So if we are not gonna refuse it, we maybe are able to reduce or let's say resources and materials whatsoever. Only then, when it's actually used, when it's really into the, let's say, into the economy, can we how many times can we reuse it? How many times can we repair it? How many times can we refurbish it? How many times can we remanufacture it or repurpose the product? And only in the end we speak about recycle and recovery. So what I heard also before, design management tools and how to, let's say, get to a product. Yeah, the design part is so much important, especially in the circular economy. With this one, I will stop. And here I would like just to stand a little bit still on, because we see this also in Slovenia now when certain measures are, for example, in the National Energy Plan, are focused on efficiency. So that's basically if we do things more efficient, so we use less energy, we use less resources. That doesn't mean, yeah, that we make an impact, that we are effective. So here, this paradigm way of thinking, yeah, are we gonna develop a product or a service that is more efficient, or are we gonna develop a product that's more effective? And also, before we speak about people, profit, planet, yeah, this is exactly how it should be intertwined all together and not as separate pillars, because then changes will never happen. So influence the society and environment through the business, not the other way around. And yeah, I mean, that paradigm of efficient and being and effective is not something new. Yeah, I think it's yeah, 60 years now, when Peter Drucker said this already. Let's do right things, yeah, and not only just doing the things right. And then on the product design, as also mentioned before, 80% of a product's life cycle comes from the product design, not from anything else, not from policies, not whatsoever. So only the product design can have an impact on the environment. So let's get out of the box and let's see where do we need to focus on, and let's do things a little bit differently. And let's go out of the linear way of thinking of one project, linear implementation, and then put it in a drawer, to more an adaptive systemic transition, where we in Slovenia focus on 5 value chains, and at least 3 of them are connected also to bio-based, let's say, solutions. So in the built environment, the uses of bio-based materials is something very preferable. Food, of course, the whole value chain is filled with bio-based materials and services and etc. So very big source of let's say improving sustainability. And the wood and forest based is of course also very much connected to the bio-based economy. And we challenge those, let's say, value chains, or support them, even better said, with a policy approach, including public procurement, entrepreneurship pillar, education, finance, and capability development. And the entrepreneurship pillar I would like to highlight a little bit today, because it might benefit all of you in thinking how to move on forward. Yeah, it goes. I will. So what we did, and what we still will continue doing, is we focus with our entrepreneurship pillar in one of the activities on a climate impact forecast of a service. The service or a product. So what is not, let's say, hardcore LCA analysis, which is a lot of times very expensive, but how can we make sure that you as a, I don't know, entrepreneur, researcher who have an idea, a service or a product, how can we assess the climate impact of exactly the work that you want to move on forward? And how are you able to present this towards the eventual investors? So 3 elements in this climate impact forecast is a split between what exactly your product does or your service. So are you an enabler? Are you actually reducing or preventing the greenhouse gases emission, or at least equivalent? Are you a mitigator? So are you focusing on by clean energy sources or carbon sequestration, preventing resources use, so you mitigate it? Or are the adaptation? So now also today, very nice rainfalls again, and yeah, we definitely need to focus on the building flood protection. So do you develop a service in the adaptation mode? So our approach is let's focus on your hypothesis. We lead you through a workshop. We have specific coaches also in 𝐂𝐤𝐵 who support you in developing your product going on forward. You make a validation and you get a hardcore certificate. And so we come basically, and I go a little bit back. So we come from a systemic approach to a really hardcore focused, in the end, products or services that really make a good climate impact. And one of the, let's say, stars also who went through our accelerator program is a company called Reusable Technologies. Not so much involved in the bio-based, but at least they gave us the opportunity to showcase them. And they are able with their products, so they refurbish lithium batteries to have 53 tons of CO2 equivalent per year reduction. So the validity of the forecast is valid, positive, and very significant. And the report itself is basically much bigger, but it will give every entrepreneur, every researcher who wants to, let's say, develop their service or product on forward, will give a very steady base of attracting investors, attracting also public money, because the methodology is a third-party based validation, and will really be able to support you in moving on forward. So this is how we, from a systemic approach, with quite some deep analysis, also come to really concrete, let's say, solutions who really make an impact on the planet. So that's in short, from systemic to implementation. And anybody else who wants to have more data on that, I would love to speak for another hour, but not today. So thank you.
Thank you, Bart.